Good afternoon, Dr. Whitman and fellow classmates. My name is Colleen Ann Norman. I am a doctoral student at Aspen University in the Leadership Theory class. Today is January 25th, 2024. Today, we are going to talk about the four leadership theories. The first one is the leadership continuum theory and model, the path goal leadership theory model, leadership substitute theory, and Fiedler's contingency leadership theory and model. The Tannenbaum and Schmidt leadership continuum was developed in the 1950s. This theory states that leadership behavior exists on a continuum and is not static. It goes from being boss-centered to subordinate-centered leadership. The focus is on who makes the decision. Tannenbaum and Schmidt identify 7 management styles differentiated by the amount of control a manager exerts over his team. The 7 styles are based on the use of the manager-centered leadership versus subordinate-centered leadership along a continuum ranging from a highly autocratic style to democratic or participative style. The 7 styles were designed to show the degree of control the leader has over the followers' freedom. The boss or leader moves along the continuum and changes from making autonomous decisions to involving team members in the decision-making process. The first of the 7 components of the leadership continuum theory and model is telling. In this leadership style, the authority states what the decisions will be and is not open to discussion. Telling can be used in the military, political dictatorship, and organized crime. North Korea's Kim Jong-un is an example of a military dictatorship. Vladimir Putin, a political dictatorship, and Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, organized crime. This is an unpopular leadership style because it is only profitable for organizations for a short time, and it is not popular among employees who do want to have the autonomy to exercise their own judgment. Second is selling, which requires the leader to sell their ideas to their employees through the powers of persuasion and charismatic leadership. They try to sell their decisions to their subordinates as evidence-based. Leaders sell the top-down decisions to their employees, and each employee owns the decisions. Third, suggesting requires a leader to be persuasive because he or she presents the decisions and then allows the consensus to form around the course of action. Both the leader and the team participate in the decision-making process, but the leader makes the final decision. Fourth is collaborative. The leader collaborates with team members whom he can implicitly trust for ideas and advice. Joining is the most usual form of leadership, where the leader joins and oversees the decision-making process of a group while trying not to be dominant. The leader's guidance and support help with the decision-making, and the final decision can be made by the team. Fifth, delegating. Leaders who have a high degree of confidence in their employees will delegate and give them more responsibility. Leaders are liable for the outcome of the decisions made by employees. This stage along the continuum requires that the leader has trust and good judgment. The sixth step along the continuum is abdication, where the leader leaves responsibility to their employees who run the company. This form of leadership is called a laissez-faire style, and the leader is just a figurehead. Finally, empowerment or autonomy happens along the continuum, and the team members operate with little leadership involvement in the decision-making process. The criticism of this model is that it has not undergone extensive research and testing. Next is the path goal theory model. Robert House developed the path goal leadership theory and model. It is used to select the leadership style: directive, supportive, participative, and achievement-oriented, appropriate to the situation, subordinate, and environment to maximize performance and job satisfaction. The path goal theory suggests that leader effectiveness is dependent on the leader's ability to enhance followers' motivation and satisfaction by setting clear goals for them and helping them achieve their objectives. This model is a contingency approach which highlights how different leadership styles can be effective in different situations. Annan, 2022, states that path goal leaders define goals, clarify the path, and remove obstacles while providing support to employees. These are the methods they use to motivate subordinates to accomplish goals and enhance employee performance, focusing on employee motivation. The model has two parts: situational factors and environmental factors. The subordinates' situational characteristics are varying needs, abilities, and preference. Leaders should be flexible and be able to change their leadership style to adapt to follower requirements. Environmental factors include the task structure, such as repetitiveness of the job, team dynamics, co-workers contribute to job satisfaction, and the relationship between followers, and the nature of the work environment, the extent of the leader's position and power. Once the situational factors have been determined, the leader can select the most appropriate leadership style from the following list. Directive: the leadership gives explicit instructions and clarifies expectations. Supportive is used when followers do not want an autocratic leadership and the leader is concerned for the well-being of the followers. Participative: followers are included in the decision-making. Achievement-oriented: challenging goals and high expectations are set by the leadership. A criticism of the path goal is it is difficult to know which style of leadership to use and when. Next is the leadership substitute theory. Steve Kerr and John Germier proposed that certain situational variables prevent leaders from affecting their subordinates' attitudes and behaviors. This theory looks at the conditions under which situational factors can function as subordinates for leadership. There are factors in the environment that can either enhance or neutralize the direct involvement of the leader, subject to the task, environment, and followers. Substitutes for leadership make leadership unnecessary because the followers are highly skilled and do not need the leader to tell them how to do their job. Neutralizers occur when the leader exhibits certain types of behaviors and diminishes the effectiveness of the leader within the organization. The following variables may substitute or neutralize leadership via people-oriented support or task-oriented direction, rather than a leader include follower characteristics, which are ability, knowledge, training, and experience. The characteristics of the task: clarify, routine, feedback, and intrinsic satisfaction. And the characteristics of the organization: explicit goals, plans, cohesive groups, and spatial distance between leaders and followers. Leaders need to be cognizant of the situational and environmental factors that may enhance or diminish the impacts of their leadership behaviors. A meta-analysis conducted on 435 relationships obtained from 22 studies containing 36 independent samples showed this theory's reliability and validity. In other studies, results were mixed, as with all theories. The fourth and final theory of leadership that we are going to look at is Fiedler's contingency leadership theory and model. Fiedler's contingency theory was the first situational theory to specify how situational variables interact with leader personality and behavior. Fiedler thought that leadership style was the reflection of the leader's personality and behavior, and they should not have to change the context of their career. His theory assumes that leaders are task-oriented or leadership-oriented, an orientation the leader cannot change. Task-oriented leaders primarily focus on setting targets and completing goals. On the other hand, relationship-oriented leaders focus on developing strong interpersonal relationships with followers. Fiedler points out that the fit between the leader's orientation and favorableness of the leader's situation determines the team's effectiveness in accomplishing a task. Fiedler classifies leaders using the least preferred coworker scale. The LPC scale is a projective technique, and the leader thinks about a person with whom he or she can work least well. The leader uses adjectives to describe the coworker as either pleasant or unpleasant, friendly or unfriendly, harmonious or quarrelsome. Leaders who describe their least preferred coworker with positive adjectives, such as cheerful, are classified as high LPC, relationship-oriented leaders, whereas those who describe their least preferred coworker negatively are classified as task-oriented leaders. A leader's situation has three dimensions: task structure, position power, and leader-member relations. Based on these three dimensions, the leadership situation is either favorable or unfavorable for the leader. Fiedler states that a leader orientation is possible to change and suggests that the situation can be modified to fit the leader's orientation. For example, a favorable situation could change to a moderately favorable one to better fit a high LPC relationship-oriented leader. It is important to note that not all studies conducted support the scale and may not measure leadership style. This scale is criticized for weak statistical results or reliability and measurement biases.